Hello, my name is Aurelia Baca and I am the Climate Specialist with the USDA Southeast Regional Climate Hub. And today I will be going over the NRCS Climate Concerns and Adaptation Practices Tool, or CCAP. So this is a step-by-step instruction video. So this is the main page for the tool, and here you can access the user guide, which has instructions and information regarding the NRCS CCAP tool. You can access climate connections, which tell you the predominant trends in your region of interest. The Climate Adaptation Practices tab is the CCAP tool itself, and this is where you can find out where conservation practices interact with other resource concerns and climate trends. The practice details and trade-offs list all of the NRCS practices and details. And then lastly, the map and graphic just shows you the practices and concerns by state. So if you would like to access instructions or additional information regarding the CCAP tool, the tab that you need to select is the User Guide tab. This will take you to a Google Doc, which includes all of the information about this tool, as well as additional step-by-step instructions in a PowerPoint format. So you can click this link, and it'll take you to those step-by-step instructions. Going back to the other Google Doc. So the user guide includes information as to why this tool was developed, how the tool works, what climate connections are, how we linked the climate connections to the resource concerns, the tool's limitations, data sources. So let's go back to the tool. So secondly, if you would like to understand the predominant climate trends in your region, select the climate connections. So as of right now, the regions included are the Midwest, Northeast, and Southeast. The tool will be expanded to the remainder of the United States. So you can narrow down your search to your region of interest. So for this video tutorial, we'll say that we are interested in the Southeast. So now this only shows the climate connections that were made for the Southeast. So this includes excess rainfall, above average precipitation, insufficient rainfall, above average temperature, and tropical storms. So each climate connection is different for each region, and the descriptions are different as well. So the descriptions will include how the climate connection can be produced, how this has trended in the past, and how it's expected to change in the future. You can view the climate connection by itself, and then this will list all of the supporting literature for the climate connection listed in our TACAMO tool. So if we go back to the list, if you're interested in printing out some of the climate connections, you can select them and select the print and then print from here. And so that is all of the information on the climate connections. So next, let's move to the climate adaptation practices. So the CCAP tool itself is located under the Climate Adaptation Practices tab. So if we go here, this will ask you some questions about region, state, climate connection, land use, and this will help figure out which practices to address resource concerns, and it ties in the climate variability aspect and into the NRCS resource concerns. So first, it's mandatory to select a region and a state. So we'll just go ahead and select the Southeast. You can select multiple regions, but we'll just keep it to one for this demonstration. And so for the state, we'll just choose North Carolina. And for climate connection, let's say we are worried about excess rainfall, so too much rain. And you select your land use type, say that you are growing crops, and then your resource concern, runoff, flooding, or ponding. You can select a specific crop or livestock. It's not necessary in order to receive results for this tool. In fact, there may not be options for a certain crop or livestock. That just means that there aren't any practices used to address that. So we'll just go ahead and search with the criteria that's selected. And so it will list the most common practices used to address the resource concern of excess water, runoff, flooding, or ponding. So the number one practice used is structure for water control, second is mulching, and so forth. And then along with the practice details resource concern, it also lists the associated climate connections that create that resource concern. So if you select the practice details, this will tell you additional information about the practice that is used to address the resource concern. The CPPE score tells you the number of conservation concerns addressed by that practice, and so it'll tell you if it's going to benefit or if it's just going to negatively impact the resource concern. There's also additional practice documentation as well as the greenhouse gas ranking tool. So let's go back to the list. Alright, so from here, if you would like to change the region, you can go ahead and change that in the search bar. You can change your state, you can add multiple climate connections that you're worried about, multiple land use types, multiple resource concerns, etc. And you can search from there. So from here, if we have excess rainfall and insufficient rainfall, it will list you the most common practices used to address those resource concerns. And again, you can select the practice and print it out if you need to take that information on the go. And additionally, you can export the results by clicking the export button. You can export it as an Excel, Word, CSV, or XML data type. So next, let's view the practice details and trade-offs tab. So this just lists additional information regarding the practices and trade-offs and how to understand how everything interacts with one another. It lists all of the conservation practices in alphabetical order. You can view these individually. You can export them as well as everything else in this tool. This lists ultimately the overall CPPE scores for the conservation concerns and the climate connections as well. So as an example, if you would like to view access control, you can select the view. This will tell you, again, the CPPE scores associated with this practice, as well as practice documentation, and resource concern, enhancement codes, enhancement name, enhancement descriptions, as well as all of the resource concern screening test for resource concern information. So let's go back to the main page for the tool, and lastly, let's look at the map and graphics. So under here, you can view the most common conservation practices by state. So we'll just go ahead and select North Carolina. So this tells you the amount of practices used in North Carolina. So the most common is the cover crop, the number of records at 331. If you wanted to view just the map, you can select just the map or just the practice type, and it tells you similar information. Again, it's 331, cover crop for North Carolina. And then lastly, if you would like to view the conservation concerns per state, you can select North Carolina or whatever state you're interested in. And so from here, we learned that the resource concern of undesirable plant productivity and health is the #1 resource concern in North Carolina. So this has been a step-by-step video tutorial for the NRCS Climate Concerns and Adaptation Practices tool. If you have any other additional questions, feel free to contact us. Again, our contact information is located in the user guide, and it is at the bottom of the Google Doc. Thank you.